dead moon shimmer. Dream shiver, dream shiver, easy love. Dream shiver, away from the sun. Dream shiver, easy love. Dream shiver, with no heartbeat left to
You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
And
Keith Cheatham.
we're lighting it up green again this week, guys. Green! Gonna keep it going. That compassion for the COVID.
Compassion for the COVID.
That's right. All those who are suffering out there, you're suffering whether you've lost someone, unfortunately, and sad, or whether or not you are just stuck in isolation, like we have been for, several weeks here. We are all still trying to get through it, but
Get through the COVID.
we're
It's
all
rough.
suffering through on our own accounts, and we all have our own, struggles. But I don't know, have you all had any specific instances that have really gotten you? We're going to get onto it a little bit later in the podcast because that's actually what our relationship segment is this week.
I mean, nothing too crazy. I mean, I think the typical stuff, the biggest being, what everybody's problem is that people keep hoarding all the toilet paper.
Yes, yes.
But
we don't have our massive amounts of toilet
Yeah.
paper this week.
But outside of that, I mean, it's here's my thing is I'm introverted anyways, so like I can only take doses of being around like
Around
lots of
people,
people
yeah.
before I'm like, okay, I've had enough, I want to go home.
Right.
So
Which it's
for
funny,
me-
but that's been the memes that we've seen
Yeah.
on social. I've seen tons of them
it's
about
like,
how
how
it's
do
like
you survive?
we're helping all those other people that are, socialites.
Yeah.
We're keeping them in tune with how to be isolated.
It's like how to be at peace with yourself.
I think we have a relationship segment
We
on
do.
that from like a long time ago, which
Yeah,
you
we
can
do.
check out on our website.
Oh, yeah. It's
That's
all
right.
there.
redmoonproductions.com.
It's
Go check it out.
there.
It's all there.
All of
Should
it.
be like our little slogan.
It's all there.
It's all there.
The whole world's secrets.
We're not seeing you at the movies anymore.
We're seeing you on our
So,
website.
That's
Yeah.
true.
It's the
And
only
each
way.
week here
We'll
on the
see
Red
you
Moon Podcast.
on the internet.
The
Oh.
Red Moo podcast.
Red Moon.
It's all moo.
You gotta show
Yeah,
everybody.
show that.
moo. The moo.
The
uh,
It's not on there, is it?
Oh.
moo.
Don't put those in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
Just I slipped up.
There was a mishap, and
Yeah.
now I have a moo
a red
glass.
moo. Maybe
That's
that'll be
all
our
right.
new
Red moo.
It's okay.
Even the cups got the
I
COVID.
kind of want to put.
They're losing one
I
letter
feel
at
like
a
it should
time.
have milk in it. It's like, what type of milk you got there? This is red moo.
Red moo milk. I don't have a food line lined up.
I don't have a food line.
a food line.
Crazy in
I
here.
mean, Red Moon's gonna take over the world.
someday.
We're planning on it.
Yeah.
We're trying.
I
That's
think
my goal.
Maybe the COVID is going to open
Yeah.
the door.
It's gonna give us so many opportunities.
I mean, it really is.
Why
Take
not?
over the world.
Yeah.
That's right, Pinky.
They're
Is
coming
it Pinky?
back.
Wait,
And
is
Pinky and the Brain.
They're coming back?
Yeah. Well, no, Animaniacs is coming back.
Ooh.
The same voice actors, same creators.
Wow.
They're not. It's not a reboot. They're just saying it's new seasons. I forget. Is it Hulu? I forget where they're going
Who's
to be.
picking it up?
I forget where it's going to be streamed. I'll look into that. But yeah, they're making new. Like I think they said 2 or 3 is what they've already greenlit seasons of Animaniacs, and they confirmed that
Wow.
because the Pinky and the Brain used to be a segment of Animaniacs before
Yeah.
they got their own show. But they did confirm that the Pinky and the Brain segment would be back.
That's
So, yeah.
fantastic. I'm not gonna lie.
They
Pinky
said
and
all the
Brain's
original
great.
voice actors are coming back, and that excites me. So
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That was
as long as the writing is still, it's like that's always the iffy thing. It's like, is the writing
You
going to
gotta
be
get that
as
right.
as witty? Like because like they said, part of why they're bringing it back is because things have obviously changed.
Mm-hmm.
As society has changed, so now they have plenty of new things that they can riff on and make jokes about. So it's like, yeah, I get that. You could put it in a modern setting and make tongue-in-cheek jokes about new things. So
Which
there you
who
go.
owns Pinky and the Brain?
Warner
Who-
Brothers.
It's Warner
Yeah.
Brothers.
Maybe
That's right.
maybe
That's
that's
right.
maybe it's gonna be HBO Max then. Maybe that's because
Well, and that's
isn't
coming
that-
out May.
is that
May is
Warner
HBO
Brothers?
Max.
No delays on that. That's
not-
Yes,
actually
yes,
still coming
because
out in May.
DC and
Yeah,
Joker.
that's what they've
yeah,
said. I
they
saw
said it's coming out in May, so I think it's going to be on HBO Max, is what it is.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Maximum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Game of Thrones is going to be on there.
Everything that Warner Brothers and HBO owns, Cartoon Network stuff's going to be on there. That's a big one to fight with Disney Plus.
I still haven't seen
Um,
Nickelodeon pop up on Netflix.
They haven't done
What's
anything
the deal?
yet. I don't know what's going
I mean,
on with
now
that.
would be the perfect time to do this.
Well,
here's the thing.
yeah.
While
There-
you're
Well, we have
quarantined.
time
There
to
are
watch it.
some. They may still have contracts because I was saying there are some Nickelodeon shows on Hulu, so
Yeah.
I'm wondering if maybe their contracts haven't expired with those other
Could
streaming
be.
services
Could be.
yet.
Yeah,
But yeah, it will be interesting. The streaming wars are alive and well. So
absolutely, especially right
Now,
now.
yes.
I mean, and that's been the struggle with us here, and even trying to find a movie to review. I mean, we
got
actually,
one this week.
We got one, and it's pretty
It's-
much. We can kind of can we
it's a
go ahead
movie.
and set up our what our agenda is for the next few
I think
few
we
weeks
should.
ahead, just to warn everybody out there of what's coming.
There's
for it.
I was just saying there's plenty of things streaming, but there's just not a lot of great options.
Yeah.
We can always review new stuff and be like, yeah, but anybody can now just get on their device and choose what they
Yeah.
want. So I think the idea we came up with was pretty cool. We've discussed doing this in the past, having reviews for
It
Academy
definitely is
Award-
going to be
yeah.
good for us.
Yeah, for Academy Award winners. But during the quarantining, I guess, quarantini.
Quarantine.
While we're all quarantined, we're going to be watching as far as we can get. I mean, I don't think we'll stop. It just might change on like how we would present
Let's just
them.
say it's
But-
one of those streaks that will go on for a while, depending on how long quarantines last.
Yeah.
This should hopefully
We're going to
last
start
long beyond
reviewing all of the Best Picture winners, beginning with the very first, Wings. So next week
that.
we'll have
1929?
28.
28.
1920. Well, the movie came out in 28, so
So
I guess
29
it
was
would
the
be
first
29
Oscars.
Yeah. So yeah, starting with Wings, and then we'll just move every year, every picture winner from there until we're no longer quarantined. Or and here's what I don't want to start the Best Picture reviews and not bring you all of them. So I'm sure over the course of some point we
Yeah.
will. It just may not be every
Well,
week anymore.
and
once
I know-
quarantine's up.
I know it was for a long time, that the website wasn't ready. We were planning on eventually getting to the point where we would not just have a review each week. We would also have more reviews that weren't going to be featured on the podcast. We'd have one review every single week on the podcast, like we always have. Typically, it's a newer film that's come out, but we also love to every once in a while go back and revisit, older classics and even movies that we didn't get a chance to hit on. Right when they launched in theaters.
Okay.
So, starting out with being in quarantine and with everything pretty much being very sparse as far as coming out on video on demand or even, in theaters, we figured, yeah, why not go back and actually, talk about some films that are supposedly notable and see which ones we actually like from the past that have won Best Picture and maybe see some that don't deserve
I'm
that
excited.
nomination and
Um,
reward.
I think early on, at least what I've seen so far from early ones is like a lot of early ones truly do deserve it.
Yeah.
But then as you get later on, when you start,
That's when the controversy
when he starts
begins.
getting into more into politicking and the artsy fartsy stuff and this and that, that's when sometimes you're like, did that really deserve to win, or did you just vote on it because you liked its message? So
True, and I think
Uh,
that's going to be, it's always about time will tell, and obviously opinions and politics are fresh on our mind each year from the last few years here, so that's been influencing
Well,
our opinions as well as others critically. So it is nice to see what other films have won Best Picture and if they do really stand the test of time.
So no spoilers for next week, but I will say I think Wings is a solid first. For being the first winner of Best Picture, I was like, it's a good place to start.
Now, for all those
honestly.
out there who want to watch it with us, feel free. You can find it in copies anywhere.
Yeah.
But the thing is it is a 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yes,
it's
a silent
It's
film.
a silent film. I mean, there's noises,
Obviously,
sound effects, music,
And
but
there's
no talking.
There's dialogue boxes.
Yeah. Right,
But there's
dialogue
not.
boxes.
There's not. Yeah, it's.
So just be prepared.
If you
That's
can't,
all I'm
if you
saying. Be
can't sit
prepared.
through that, but I like Charlie Chaplin. I have seen silent films. I loved The Artist, which was
fantastic.
So it's like there are good silent films, but if it's not your thing, it's understandable. But
Yeah.
you know.
But so starting next week, yes, we'll be bringing you, starting with 1929, every week from that point on, as long as we're quarantined, we'll be reviewing a Best Picture winner, starting with the first Wings. So it'll be fun. Be a fun adventure. But we do have one last major release that was scheduled to come out in theaters, but missed it that much.
This one's big because this is the one everybody's like, is it going to change the future of theater? And it could, maybe. I mean, depending on how much they have already said that it's the highest grossing digital release they've ever had. But to be fair, this is also most other digital releases have already been in theaters as compared to this one's never been seen before. So it makes sense that it would have a bigger push.
Yeah, a lot of the ones that have released they only had like one weekend.
Yeah,
and then
then
everything
they
was
was
closed. Yeah,
This was
that was Bloodshot
yeah.
last week.
yeah.
But yeah, the only way to see this movie was through a digital release. But it has, like I said, it has been the highest grossing digital release for this company, DreamWorks, which is their film Trolls 2 World Tour. We are at a historic moment in cinema. We already know theaters are shut down, but for the first time outside of streaming services, a movie will premiere digitally. Many have wondered if this will change the way we see movies and the way they are distributed in the future. While it's too early to tell, the quality of the film will go a long way towards convincing people to give it a purchase digitally. Coming off the massive hit that was DreamWorks Animation's Trolls, a movie about the 90s toy brand that was all the craze amongst elementary school girls, it was not a matter of if a sequel would be made, but when. Trolls World Tour was set to hit theaters this past weekend. But with cinemas shut down, DreamWorks, rather than delay the release like many other studios, instead opted to release digitally. Taking advantage of all the overhyped kids stuck at home, Trolls 2 is meant for them, and that's painfully obvious. I can't decry a children's movie for playing to its audience. Children will love this movie just as much as the first. What worked there still works here. Catchy music, vibrant colors, and bubbly characters. Trolls World Tour does, however, rein in the fart jokes and toilet humor prevalent in the first and substitutes them with smarter innuendos that will catch the attention of parents while passing over kids' heads. And if I had to choose, I much prefer that than the first film's characters farting glitter. What works about the jokes in the sequel is the fact that they get to use the same witty and bizarre brand of humor from the first in entirely new ways. With tongue-in-cheek commentary on each musical genre, many jokes land, though a few don't. Unfortunately, the film's plot doesn't follow in the footsteps of its jokes. Using the same style for a new plot, instead it uses the same style for almost the exact same plot. The two movies' overarching message and plot are extremely close. This is a problem many sequels face, but Trolls 2 even goes so far as to nearly having almost the exact same ending as its predecessor. Though it's done well, just exactly what we've already seen. Anna Kendrick and Justin Timberlake still deliver great performances both in song and acting, and newcomers and secondary characters are actually given a little more room to shine than in the first film, where the antagonist played a more central role in the story than Barb does in this movie. The trade-off, however, is that the villains of the first movie were more interesting than the sequel, but the sequel gets a better supporting cast. Maybe a third will find a way to balance both. By the end of Trolls World Tour, I did find myself feeling uplifted by its ultimate message of unity through accepting each other's differences as opposed to condemning them. Ultimately, this movie will entertain children while leaving them with a solid lesson. Yes, it may be a lot more of what we've already seen, but it does have enough improvements over the first film to make up for that. It just unfortunately also has as many moments that are worse than the first, holding it back. To summarize, it's a fine children's film that is on par with the original, just in different ways. It can be hit or miss, but its message comes through strong, even if it doesn't carry the emotional weight of better family affair. I give Trolls World Tour 2.5 out of 4 stars. Well, there you have it.
2.5.
2.5 out of
of 4
that's
stars.
that's actually what I rate the first one. Also, I felt they were on par.
Yeah.
And I know there are disagreements. Sean actually likes the first one way more than
Right.
this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say 2.5 for the first one and 1.5 for this
Okay.
one.
Oh, man.
Brandon's never seen the first one.
I've never seen the first one,
Um,
and I was not. I don't know. I just didn't expect much from it. Maybe
Yeah.
that helped. My
I
expectations
didn't
weren't
expect
that
much
high.
from either one of them, honestly.
And honestly, I said this on our Great Day Live segment that we have coming next week. I was talking about how it wasn't just that I didn't expect much from it, but the problem that I did have with it was that it could have been any kind of animated character. It could have been any animated story.
And I agree with that.
I don't understand with, and this may goes for the first movie, which I haven't seen, but from what I've heard from you all, it's like there's nothing uniquely Trolls. Which, granted, I know it's like a made up
it's
little
based off that-
toy.
well, it's based off the
just
toy
a toy
line.
that had no real story.
Actually, that was one thing about the first one I really like. I agree with you because I mentioned on the Great Day segment, which people will see later, that it honestly reminded me of Smurfs. Like you could have replaced it with Smurfs because it was a similar ordeal. The first movie was about these giant creatures trying to eat these little creatures, which reminded me of Gargamel trying to capture and eat the Smurfs.
Yeah.
But one thing I loved about the first one is at the very beginning when they're going to eat them and they find out all the trolls have escaped, is like the actual toy troll is what pops out of the thing. And
Yeah.
they're like, this is fake, and it looks exactly like the
Like a
90s toy. And I was like, okay, that was really good. That was
Yep.
smart and funny.
That
That
was
was really
clever.
good. Yeah.
Because it has a chain on it, doesn't it?
Well, like they pull the hair off of it because you know how the hair was just glued on.
Yes.
Yeah.
They pull the hair and they're like, it's fake.
Yeah.
Here's my thing with this one. I felt this one did some things better than the first one did.
Yeah.
But there's other aspects I thought it did worse. I felt like the first one had much better villains. The villains were a more integral part of the story than the villain in this one. But on the opposite side of that, I felt like the secondary characters in the first one were pointless. They didn't really have much to do and serve no purpose, whereas this one actually gave some of the new characters and secondary characters more development, but then it sacrificed like the villain. So I was like, so it's like it was kind of like, a trade-off. It was like, okay, I actually think the villains are way better in the first one, but in this one, at least the secondary characters didn't seem like pointless characters to me.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't mind that the villain didn't play like a major part in this. I didn't mind that it was kind of a.
Yeah.
I thought they explained enough backstory with what the purpose of the antagonist was that I was actually kind of glad that it didn't focus so much on them as much as it did focus on, I guess, all the different worlds based on music that they went to. I liked that in each of the different worlds, it didn't necessarily the same thing play out in terms of how they interacted with that world or how they expected to save the string of music that they were trying to save. I liked how they each had a unique feel. I thought the stereotypes that they used for the music were actually good, and they used it as a way to kind of build up on their stronger message of everybody needs to be unique and different.
I agree with all of that except for in one regard, which you already know, and that was The Rock. I felt like every genre, the techno I thought was hilarious and well done. The country was perfect. Because, that's one of my favorite Joss Whedon jokes that he uses in Buffy when like one of the characters is like, I'm going to go home and listen to country music, the music of pain. And I love, like, that's kind of how the Trolls went too.
Yeah.
It's like, they're like, do they know music is supposed to make you happy? And I was like, that's great. And I thought all the genres were really well done except for the rock genre. I felt like whoever made the movie just either they're not a fan of rock or they
though that's kind of the central message.
That was
and that's the point is to
it was
be
like
a fan of all music.
All the other genres actually had people like I mentioned, country had Kelly Clarkson. I don't know who did the other genres, but they could actually sing in those genres. This character could not sing rock. She sounded like someone trying to make like a pop rendition of rock songs, and I'm like, no, that defeats the purpose of them being like hard rock. The only part about the rock characters I liked was I mentioned like Ozzy Osbourne played the former king of rock, and I was like, that was hilarious just because they have him in a wheelchair mumbling, and I was like, that's Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, it was. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But other than that, I was just like, I was really kind of disappointed, especially being a huge fan of rock. It's like I didn't even mind that they were the villains. It's like, oh, that kind of makes sense within the context of the story. I just felt like it didn't get as much justice as the other genres did.
Yeah. No,
I
I
can see that.
agree. What about you, Sean?
To me, it was the story needed something that the first movie didn't. I felt like the first movie, the plot was way better. I liked how the and I said it with our Great Day Live segment that the first movie is bigger. It's more open. It feels like there's more of a world out there than just with the trolls. There's other, like the Bergen, there's other creatures out there. Even though they're kind of bad at the beginning, they realize that they don't need the trolls to be happy. They can be happy on their own. And I like that message, I understand the message that this movie was trying to put out as well. Like you said it, though, you can be fans of all different kinds of music,
Right.
but to me that didn't resonate because I don't believe you have to be fans of all different kinds of music.
Well,
And I don't think that you have to, I felt like the movie was pushing, to me, the message of everybody's different, but you have to accept everybody's differences. And I think you can have opinions and not have to accept everybody else's
True.
stuff. But
I like that
I don't
message.
think they were like trying to force things.
spoon-feed that to you?
Spoon feed it. But I felt like that's the first movie had this message of, you don't need this or that to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a big problem with Branch's character in this movie, Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
I felt like he was, in the first movie, he was this like prepper and he was skeptical about everything. And I thought that's what made it funny. But in this movie, they toned him down and like watered his character down to where he's not as much of a skeptic and being prepared for everything. He's more like Poppy. And I
Yeah.
felt like, well, now you're showing in the first movie that these two characters are different, and that's okay. The opposites can attract. But then in the second movie, you make Branch more like Poppy, where
Yeah.
he's following along
Although I don't know,
everything.
I
thought
disagree.
I
They
was
have
gonna
the
say,
argument, yeah.
They have the whole argument, and I thought his primary purpose in the movie was to try to. I mean, it was like he kind of kept backing down because of her being queen, but also because he liked her.
He was the
Yeah.
more
he was
level-headed.
He was
Yeah.
level-headed, but he
Yeah.
was also using his feelings to kind of justify why he was going along with her.
Yeah.
And then he has the moment where he's like, "Okay, I can no longer go with you on these things anymore, and all these other people you haven't listened to, and you're not even listening to me."
Yeah.
And I
Right.
and I think it was
A
his,
good leader
I
knows
thought it was like a good
when to lead
moment.
and when
Yeah,
to listen.
it
and I
it
like
had
that.
those moments, but
Yeah.
I don't feel like Branch was as strong and as sturdy as a character
Now, see-
in the second one as he was in the first one.
I disagree just because I felt like the character growth from the first one,
Yeah.
because he was very stubborn and like because of the situation he was in the first one where he didn't sing originally in the first one.
Right,
He had to
yeah.
learn to find his happiness again, basically. And it's like I felt like the character growth is why he was a little bit different in this one, because now he knows that he doesn't have to be as reserved, while he was still more reserved in this one than her, but less reserved than he was in the
It's
first
the
one.
reason like Kevin
Yeah.
McAllister can make better traps in the second movie.
Yeah.
But on the other side, I thought the message in this one resonated with me more than the first one, just because I like the fact that everybody, especially in today's world, we single in on our own thoughts and opinions so much that we put a wall between, like, we don't listen to each other, and it's
Yeah.
like it's okay to have like your own opinion, and it's okay to have
To
your
not
own
back
your
down
own
from it.
beliefs.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you have to change your belief. And that's what I thought that this message is about. You don't have to stop liking pop or rock or whatever, but you also don't have to hate the other genre.
Right.
And that's what I liked.
or
is, like, you
what I
don't
liked
have to
about
hate
it was
other
the
person.
overall message too of you don't have to make everything the same.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
uniqueness is in the very essence of who we
Understanding
are.
that everybody's
Yeah.
different goes a long way towards being able to actually have civilized conversation than
Yes.
fighting back and forth saying, well, I'm right, you're wrong, so you just need to die because
Right.
you have the wrong opinion. It's
Yeah.
like I feel like there's a lot of people in the
I
world
see
today.
that. I see that.
Yeah, there's
I had issues with the end of the movie. To me, the female, I can't remember her name. The rock queen,
Barb.
Barb.
Yeah, I felt like at the end of the movie, she is. Her father tells her like you don't have to. Like you can even like what even if you don't have to like rock or something is what he says to her, insinuating that there's something that she's been hiding that she hasn't been, and then she never that is never addressed, and she doesn't even have a singing part in the end. Like song, you got all these different
she sings
genres
with-
Yeah,
coming
she
together.
sings.
She lights up. Yeah, she lights up and plays
comes
the
together,
guitar.
yeah, and
sings
then like
with them.
her hair pops up
Yeah.
colorful
Right,
or
does she
whatever.
sing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she
See,
sings.
See, I
in
don't
it.
remember
She sings.
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
she does rock. She still sings rock, but she sings
in
like
the
that
endings,
song.
in the end song.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
think-
she sings.
Yeah, 'cause
she
they
joins,
all
she
sing.
joins
Maybe
the,
I need to rewatch it again.
They kinda
I've
blend
only
all
seen
their
it like
genres
77 times.
yeah, your son. That's been another.
But I
problem.
just
Yeah.
took it as he was like not saying that she didn't like rock, but he was just saying that it's okay to not like something, but and still like allow it to exist.
Right.
It's
You
like-
don't have
I
to
thought he
go-
said like this isn't what you have to love just because I do, and to me that was insinuating that maybe she was only in love with rock because of her father, and that there was something inside that she like secretly wanted to
wanted
be
to-
a
Yeah,
pop
I-
person or
I didn't take-
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't get that
see
one
that
at all.
either.
but,
Okay.
um,
Well, that's why we have differing
Well,
opinions.
maybe,
on
I don't
it.
know. Maybe after 77 times of watching it, I'll
I just got like I don't know. I
just-
enjoyed the first movie. Entertainment value was way higher in the first one to me. I found a lot more laughs in the first movie.
Yeah.
There was just very few things in this movie. There was more trippy stuff that was just kind of like off the wall
But I
and,
liked that.
and weird that
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I just didn't
'Cause
like. In the
first
first
movie
one,
was super trippy, and I liked that. I felt like this one toned it down some, and I liked
Really?
because I mean there was
Wow.
so much like the whole
God.
and the,
This is great,
This is-
though.
Yeah.
and here's
It's
the thing,
been a while
the
since
part
you've
where
had a
they're
movie
like
that's
the
been
part
that
where they're like
division.
high and
oh the jazz.
oh
Yeah,
that was just
I loved that.
bizarre.
I freaking love
I
that
love
part.
that.
Oh,
Because
man.
I immediately thought of
Because
Kenny
that's
G.
jazz. Yes.
And I was
Yes.
just like, I felt the
I
vibe
was
they
like,
were going
that
for.
is smooth jazz. When I heard that, I thought the same thing. I was like, yep.
Well,
that's
to me though,
smooth jazz.
what I loved about it was it fit this overall like theme and message of all these different stereotypes, and
Yeah.
I just felt
I
like
love the
as-
yodelers.
the
I love-
yodelers,
Yeah, I'm
and then
like-
the fact that they made them like the enemy, like the secret enemy with like.
But it wasn't because the one liked him, the other one
True.
didn't. He was like, just his whole like, he was like, yeah, we're the yodelers, G, but he says it like with that accent, like
Yeah.
while yodeling,
Yeah.
and I was dying. I was like, this is great.
I did enjoy Sam Rockwell. I did enjoy
Oh, he was
that.
hilarious.
That was funny.
And then at the
Sam
very end when
Rockwell's
he like
always
pops
great.
up out of nowhere and he was like, "That was me."
Yeah,
Yeah.
when she does the
Just-
gumdrops, he's
Yeah.
like, she got that from me.
Yeah. But
I just,
I don't know. I do think overall it was to me because I haven't seen the first one. It was my first introduction. I didn't mind the overall feel good message. I didn't think it was too pushy in any way, and I thought obviously it was pointed for the times that we're in. But I think for a kids movie that would enjoy it, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously to the point that your son's watched it so many times, Sean.
yeah, kids are
It's
going
like,
to love
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I thought for the most part I did. I enjoyed it. Again, it's not a Pixar movie, but it is a film that I think is worth watching with your
Yeah.
kids. Maybe not when you're going to revisit over and over
it.
again.
For me, I would have
But it
given,
wasn't-
I would have
wasn't
given,
bad.
I would have given either of them, the one and two, that 3 stars if they had just a little bit more heart. I felt like
Yeah.
there are emotional moments in both, but I didn't feel like either one had like like compared to Onward, which even Onward
Yeah.
didn't feel like is one of Pixar's best. I thought it was
it had me tearing
but-
up.
but
yeah,
I mean-
Onward
Yeah.
got me.
like I gave
yeah.
Onward I think 3 stars, and that's because it did have some of those emotional points, even though the story was weaker. This one I felt like it had some decent messages and story, but it just didn't have like quite the heart in either one. So that's why I kind of settled with 2.5 for both.
Which it's interesting because we're
Yeah.
all divided.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I gave it 3 because it's the first Trolls movie, and I thought it wasn't
I
bad.
think I would have given Trolls
And then
1
3,
a higher star if I hadn't seen Box Trolls before 2, because the bird
which no relation at all between the two.
but it reminded they were very similar, like the enemies,
design, yeah.
the Bergens, the way they looked, the way
Yeah.
they behaved. A lot of it, I was like, I kept coming back to Box Trolls, which I feel is a funnier movie than Trolls is, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, that already did it better. So
Yeah. But ultimately, yeah, 3 for me, 2.5 for you, and Sean 1.5
for
So-
Trolls 2, yeah.
for Trolls World Tour. Wow.
Trolls World, not to be confused with Troll 2.
So,
Right.
Yeah, no, but a
I
much
still,
better. A much better.
I
film.
pitched the
Much
idea.
better
I
film.
pitched the idea that I come in reading a review of Troll 2
to
and we
troll everybody.
and just say, but it would have been more entertaining, I think.
But no, we're honestly for the last movie that we are reviewing
The
so
last
far.
theatrical release.
It may be the last theatrical release for the year.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I will say, if
We
you
really
have
don't
if
know.
you have kids and you need something for them to, if you're tired of them watching the same movies over and over, give them this one to watch over and over until you get tired of it. Because
Don't.
I mean, they'll,
I
they'll
wouldn't
like it.
say that.
Well, it's
I
like
like
we
it.
watched Trolls so many times that I have all of those songs like memorized.
And that's exactly why I would say don't do
Yeah.
that, because you
Like, it's
this is
sad.
you even said you watched Trolls to prepare for
I-
the second
I watched
movie.
them back. Well, I'd never seen the first one, so I watched them back to back.
Oh god!
And I will admit, like Sean said, he felt like the music in the first one was better. I can't agree with that just because I actually have the songs from the first one stuck in. I watched them back to back, which means I had to watch the second one. Like, it's the freshest one in my mind, but I still have the songs from the first one stuck in my head. Not any of this. I don't even remember any of the songs from the second one, to be honest with you.
Well, but a lot of them were because they were covers. And,
Well, they
and
were.
the
Yeah.
originals.
Well,
yeah,
the covers are what I have stuck in my head from the first movie. It's
yeah.
just, I, think
I
they
looked it
chose
up
better
earlier. There's
songs.
6 original songs
In
in
the
the
first
in the
one?
first
and there's
movie.
only like 3. I
and
think,
in this
one,
one, there's not very many.
I think
Most of
there's
them are
3.
most of them are covers. They do change the lyrics a little bit
Yeah.
to add the troll thing to it, but in the first movie, there's more songs from Anna Kendrick and
Well, what's
even
that
the
one? That's
that
the
made
main
the
one
girl
from the
Bergen
first movie.
sing.
Everybody.
Zoe Deschanel was the
Yeah.
girl Bergen.
Oh.
She
Or you're
was-
talking about the one that Timberlake sung at the Academy Awards.
Yeah, everybody get.
This feeling. What is it called?
Everybody's got this feeling.
I don't remember.
That
That's
one
not
or
how it
whatever.
goes.
I don't know. I can't sing.
I don't know.
I don't think that's it.
You were singing it earlier.
I got sunshine in my pocket.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no, it wasn't.
Yeah,
that.
I got that good
sunshine
soul in my
Yeah,
pocket.
that's it. That's the same song.
See,
Yeah.
here's the thing. I
It just
think
starts
the
out with that line.
I think the reason why I didn't realize that the first one had so many original songs is because I'd heard all those songs on the radio because they're from Justin Timberlake and
Yeah.
Anna Kendrick.
Yeah.
But I just thought they were actual songs that they wrote and then got used in the movie. But I guess they were actually
There's
written
songs
for
that
the
they
movie.
wrote for the
yeah,
movie.
see, I didn't
Yeah.
realize that. I thought that they were just using like their own
See,
some of their own
okay.
stuff. So I guess the first one does have more original music in that regard.
Yeah.
Well, all I know is that for the last movie that's come out, the major film to be released video on demand, but was supposed to be theatrical release until probably the middle of summer. That's what our big headline news is about this week. What a divisive title to
We'll
end
see,
on.
yeah.
So we'll see, but the fact is
We don't
let's
know.
move
We
on.
could be divisive about the Oscar winners too.
Well, we may
Yeah.
not have many
Right.
Oscar noms this year.
Yeah.
Who knows?
That's gonna be interesting too to
It
see. How
is.
well, I mean, if all those come out at the later half of the year anyway, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
It'll be interesting.
All right, guys. I think we're ready to move on to our headlines this week because that is our big topic. Is the box office is back open by August? That's
Hopefully.
what they're projecting right
we
now.
hope, and that's still a long way off.
That's what I'm saying. End of July, beginning of August. Can you all believe that? That's what they said. Obviously,
Well, I
it's
don't
all
think-
concerning health. What
Yeah.
health officials say.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and that's the thing. They're not talking new releases.
I don't
They're
think
talking
there's
about
gonna be
old classics.
But I think that's going to be the
and
case for a lot of
re-releases.
things, not just theaters. I think there's a lot of stuff that's not going to open up until
Right.
July, August. So it's like, I mean, it stinks, but it's the same thing for everybody.
But
And-
hell, we're already, people are talking about trying to get things open by May. And don't you think everybody's going stir crazy by now?
oh yeah, definitely.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can imagine certain things taking their time to open, but theaters,
it's one of those things where
they're
there's,
already, AMC's up for bankruptcy
there's
practically.
no one solution. There's no good options. So it's really about trying to find out what will be the best option and going that route. And right now, nobody knows who that is. It's easy to point fingers and be like, that person doesn't have the answer or that person doesn't have the answer.
Yeah.
Nobody really has the answer.
Well, I think that's why everybody's pissed right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because here's the thing. It's one thing to be in the situation we're in where we're trying to, for the sake of health, close things down, practice social distancing. I think everybody understands that. But the fact that we're closing all these places down, and we have now been closed down for several weeks, almost an entire month now. And the fact of the matter is that nobody's come forward with a plan for reopening.
I know.
And so it's one thing where you can get into the mindset and everybody can get gung-ho about, okay,
Well,
we
some
need to do
people-
this right
when
now.
you even mention reopening, some people start getting pissed off. Like, well,
Yeah.
we need to get rid. It's like we're never going to kill it. That's not how diseases work.
No.
No.
Well, and not only that, I mean, understandably, we're waiting for a vaccine, but
Yeah.
we can't wait a
But
year
we
and a
can't-
half
yeah.
for a vaccine. It's not conceivable.
These people that are angry because people want to talk about reopening, it's like we have to. Like, eventually, we
See, and
have
I'm
to
on the
That's
reopen.
what I
opposite
don't
end.
think they understand. The government can't just pay for everything. They can't just keep doing
No, that's
stimulus
how
after
countries
stimulus.
die.
I'm saying that's why
Yeah.
countries like Sweden, they have already reopened and they're telling old people and people with pre-existing conditions, yes, stay home, but the young people with an immune system that are healthy, go back to work and
Yes.
keep this country alive. And I don't see a problem with that.
And I understand, like, it's hard because you can't. It's hard to make one select group of people stay home because there's still going to be some interaction. Like, somebody's going to like go out to work and then go visit like their mother or who has to have care, and then it could spread again. And it's like,
Yeah, right, and I do.
It
I
is.
get
It's a
that.
hard
I get
situation,
that. That's been the complication with a lot of even. I mean, recently we just had this whole fiasco, which brought us national attention for how the governor was reacting to Easter service on
Yes.
Sunday.
Yes.
and I have to say that while I understand his purpose in doing it. At the same time, I was on the end of as a law-abiding citizen who I was a little bit offended by.
Yeah.
You're going to send out state troopers
Yeah.
to track down people's license plates
if they go to church.
if they go to church. And it's like, it doesn't matter what country you live in. If you
That
live in a
looks
free country,
terrible.
that looks
Yeah.
terrible.
And it's like, yeah, you're not going to arrest people. I get that. You're trying to make sure
Well, you
like,
don't know.
you're trying not to spread it. But yeah, well, he says they're not. And you're
He-
right.
He,
you
says
don't know.
it,
Fine
he says
'em.
it won't come to
but
that.
it's like,
But so
they're
far,
saying they're going to make them quarantine. It's like, well, how are you going to are you going to post like guards outside
Right.
their door? Because
they're
going to
have to
'cause,
if they
yeah.
don't abide by
And
it.
then
14
at that,
days.
And then at that point, it's a sketchy situation because it's like you can't,
It's a
like
constitutional right.
it's like how
Yeah.
do you force? And it's like, and I agree. It's like I would hope the majority of churches are trying to do the right thing,
Right.
But at the same time, it's one of those things. It's like how far do you let it go?
Plus,
it's
I
like
don't have a problem. I didn't have a problem watching our pastor preach online.
I don't think there was
on
anything
Easter
wrong.
Sunday.
I don't think
with
I
anybody
don't have a
did.
problem doing that, but I do have a problem with someone saying it is now illegal for you to go to
Yes.
church.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with
That's what I have the issue with.
Yeah.
It's like there's people that are going to abide by the rules and the suggestion of staying home, but to make it against the law or to threaten legal action
Yeah.
for those who do attend a church, that's
It's
they
just-
should be free to do that. And
It's
to
just
me, it's
scary
if you're
in
worried,
any circumstance.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you're worried about people gathering and you catching it, then don't go. That's what I don't
Well,
understand.
and his
Well, their-
argument,
their
his
thing
argument
is
was
they could
if
spread
you,
it to
if you could
others.
go to if
Yeah.
you go to church and you get something and then you take it to work the next day and now you spread it to other people.
I-
Here, and
But
here's the
that
thing,
can
I
happen
understand.
going
It
to
could
the
happen
grocery
anywhere.
store.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
going to happen
Ex-
going to the liquor store.
Exactly.
Those are still open.
Well,
Which-
and that was
I
that was
understand why those
now that
are,
was the
too.
people's.
I'm not going to knock liquor stores being open because I mean they don't want to flood the hospital.
No, but here's
with
the other thing. Here's the other thing.
alcoholics.
It was also pointed out because that's why. Granted, Governor Bashir wasn't struck down in terms of any political reason versus Mayor Fisher. And Mayor Fisher was struck down simply because of the fact that he did institute no drive-in churches.
Yeah.
which is wrong. yeah.
Which I believe, and then you had a federal judge who stepped up and said, "No, you can't
Yeah,
do that.
you
That's
can't do that."
unconstitutional."
Right.
Especially when they're following the CDC guidelines.
I
and,
think
and apart
as
from
long
all of
as
that,
everybody's following the guidelines, then leave them alone. Now I know there's a case to be made that one specific church he was kind of flouting like directly like,
Yes.
well, I'm going to have a full service. Let
Oh yeah,
everybody
they
in.
had 1,500 people
It's
there.
like
Yeah.
it's like
But-
him at that point. It's like was he doing it because he wanted people to go to church, or was he just trying to make a statement?
well,
Yeah.
even and again, and I'm not saying he's right in doing.
no,
so.
I'm not. I'm not.
And I'm not saying the governor was wrong in instituting what he was. I just think he could have handled it better
Yes.
than just immediately jumping to the conclusion of saying, I'm going to send state troopers to track down your license plate number. It's like, because then just the very next day, the presser came out and said, so what are you going to do
With these license plate
if these
numbers.
if these people don't abide? Are you going to show law enforcement at their door? And they said he shirked the
At that point,
question.
you're getting
and
into
he
martial
said,
law,
He
yeah.
said,
Yeah.
it's not going to come to that. The fact is, Governor, it
They
has
already-
to come to that if they break the law.
Yeah.
So don't say it's not
You
going to come
can't-
to that
you
if
can't
you're
threaten
instituting
legal action
Well, I was
and
just
then
saying,
not go
it's
through with it.
already
Yeah.
come to that. They already went they already told you we're going to go to church no matter what you say, and they did it. They didn't care that you had people taking their license plates.
And
number.
he's saying
So do
he
you think
doesn't
they're
have a
going-
problem with that.
Yeah.
He's saying that now they have to follow the 14-day guideline.
But how do you enforce that?
You
Yeah.
enforce it by hoping they either do it or you
And
have.
that was just my
guards
point
show
with
up.
like, well, we need to make only the elderly and those liable stay quarantined. It's like, well, how do you enforce that? So there is no great situation because really,
And that's my problem with all of this is the deeper and deeper we get, and the
It's gonna
further
get
we
worse.
go with not only the social isolation, but the more that we continue to be told we need to do this to we're at the peak now. We don't want it to go even worse. We're just now starting
Yeah.
to get to the
Flatten the curve. That's the new slogan.
Oh
now.
yeah, that and social distancing.
Yeah.
We've abided by all these. But the thing is what it's getting to now, and the scary part is it's like, okay, with all of these particular, executive privileges that the governors have instituted in their own communities and their own states, when are we going to get a plan for opening things back up? Because see, what scares me as a law-abiding citizen is don't take something away from me if you don't have a plan in giving it back. Now, Mayor Cuomo or Governor Cuomo up in New York at least said with the respirators.
I mean,
hey,
you know it's gotten bad when you're giving him props.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
But it's true. He at least came out and said, I'm going to take the respirators. We're going to use these to give them to people in need.
Yeah.
And when we're done with them, we'll give them back. Or if you don't get them back, I'll pay you.
Yeah.
That's something that at least is a method of saying, I've got your back.
Well, that's the
And
government's
that's the
responsibility.
exact same thing we did in World War II with loaning equipment to Europe before we got involved in the war.
Yeah.
And that I can at least get behind if a governor comes out and says, I'm going to take this away right now, but here's when I plan on you having
Well,
it back,
because-
or here's how I'm going to help
That's
you have
them
it
not
back.
overstep. If they do take something away, they have to reimburse you for it. That's because I mean the government's not our dictator. So
Right.
yeah, I agree with that. If they take something away from you, then they owe you something because they're not. They're technically supposed to work for us.
Yes.
Believe it or not.
Yeah, believe it or not.
Yes, that's exactly
Yeah,
how it is.
They're supposed to be employed by the American people.
Right.
And that is the scary thing is because you're right. It's like how far is too far? Because I agree. It's not that I feel like Bashir had any malintent. I really don't believe he
No,
has
I don't
any
either.
No.
But at the same time, I
But
agree.
you can always
It's-
say anything is for a better cause.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
You can
Well,
always
Hitler
hide
said-
behind
Hitler
that.
said that about
Yeah.
the Jews.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like how,
exactly.
and that's where you have to be cautious.
Not that we're
I'm not-
comparing.
no,
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 we're
No,
not.
not
We're
that
not
we're
even
comparing.
near
not at all.
comparing that.
But that's just I was just trying to make the point that it's like how far do you let them go saying, well, this is for your own good. Well, this is for your own good. We have to take this away to make sure people are safe. And it's like that's fine. You can abide by it, but eventually, you know. Do you sit and let them take away all your freedoms, or do
Right.
you say, okay, hold on? I know for the good of all people, like we're trying to make sure no one gets sick, but at the
Right.
same time, we have to ensure
Yeah.
that we have our freedoms.
And I'm not at all advising that, you know, I have a plan or some grand master plan. Hell, I'm not. I didn't
Well,
try to get elected
that's
to
like
be
we-
in public office.
Like we said, that's been the biggest
So-
problem is nobody has a plan.
Right.
No.
And I think while you can be critical of the federal government for that, and you can even be critical for saying, well, they want to reopen too soon. That's fine. I don't care if you have a plan
We
with
still
a
have to
date.
have that conversation.
Exactly. And I don't. That's the thing. I'm not asking for an exact date when everything's
We're
going
not
to
saying
open.
let's open up tomorrow.
I just want an idea of getting things back in
Well,
order.
the date keeps changing. It was the end of April, and then it was June. Now they're saying,
July,
End of
now it's
August.
July or August, and
and
I'm
then
like,
they're saying this
if
could
you
all
have-
happen again in the winter.
Yeah, if you have businesses shut down for 6 months, there's no way a small business owner, even with the government grants, can sustain their business long enough to keep it open. There's no way.
No.
Now I know this originally was about theaters, but to be fair, this does encompass all
It
companies.
does.
Well,
so-
Think about
yeah.
the small theater chain. I mean, in Bardstown, we have Keystone Theaters.
Well,
They have a
here,
couple of locations,
Apex.
but oh yeah, exactly. I mean,
Green
Baxter
Tree,
Avenue.
Baxter, yeah,
yeah,
Baxter.
the smaller theaters.
Exactly.
How are they supposed to stay open? I don't know how the guy that owns my daycare is going to stay open. They've been shut down for.
Yeah.
They shut down almost 2 months ago. It's just how are they going to sustain that? And I think at some point you have to have the discussion of okay, regardless of how dangerous it may be, at some point we have to get this country up and
Well, I
running
think
again.
A lot of people aren't afraid of it. A lot of people are thinking we're just going to stay indoors for as long as they tell us, and when they open back up, everybody will just go back to work. But that's
No.
not,
Well, and that's
not how it's
actually
gonna
that's
work.
to bring it back to
There
the
won't be
theaters.
no work to go back to.
Yeah.
That and that's what I was going to bring back to the theaters. Is the fact is this is an elective that the theaters themselves are taking on to try to gauge what the.
Well, I mean, they
what-
have to
what
be
the-
closed now, but originally they closed down of their own accord.
Right,
They
yeah,
weren't- they
yeah.
weren't
Well, but
forced.
I'm saying but the thing is with them opening back up, they're even trying to talk about when they're going to open back up. But they're thinking in terms of not the government, but even if the government opens everything back up, or the governors themselves of each and every state start opening things up in May or June, the theater owners themselves of the larger chains, Cinemark, AMC's in financial trouble.
Yeah.
They're all talking about opening up at the end of July, and part of that is because they don't want to do it too soon. Because the last thing they want to do is be held responsible for opening their theaters back up.
Yeah.
People come in, boom, we have another outbreak, and they're part of the cause. And then your business tanks even more
And even at-
because you do it too soon.
So even by the end of July, like that's still that hurts because think about it. That's like you have is it Memorial Day that comes? I always mix Memorial Day and Labor Day.
Memorial
Okay.
Day's in the fall. Labor
Labor
Day.
Day,
Or,
okay.
I'm sorry,
Labor
Day
Day's
is
later.
in
Yes,
the fall.
so it is Memorial.
It's
They're,
a
they're
Memorial
gonna
Day.
they're gonna miss Memorial Day weekend. They're gonna miss the 4th of July.
All
Those
the
are
summer
huge.
blockbusters.
I mean, by the end of July, I mean they're not going to get new.
The summer's
movies.
over.
Yeah, they're not going to
Yeah.
get new movies in right away because August is the last blockbuster month.
Yeah.
and they're not going to have anything new.
November,
I mean,
December
as
will
soon
be
as
the
they
next.
open, like they've already talked about playing older movies
Yep.
because they don't have new releases to launch as soon as they open.
Yeah.
And even if a production company's like, oh well, we can give you this, they don't know if people are going to be willing to go out
Well, and
because
that's
they're
the
still
thing.
going to
No
be afraid.
studio
Yeah.
is going to give their movie to a theater if they know they're going to be shut down again in a month.
Yeah.
I know.
If there's another outbreak.
So they're going to open up, play old movies, and hope that gives them enough
Right.
revenue to stay afloat.
Oh my
And-
god! I just thought about this, but that's going to put Avatar back on top if they re-release Avatar again. AMC opens and puts Avatar back in theaters,
It ain't
and then it
happening.
beats out
It ain't-
Endgame.
We already
No.
know Disney's already talked about re-releasing
All
Avatar.
I can say is
it's
I
gonna
would
happen.
I would leave it to James Cameron to pull that.
Oh, he'd
evil
be
trick.
first on it. He'd be
because
first
James
on it.
Cameron himself probably set
Oh, he would promote it.
the COVID virus free.
He probably did.
Just so he could
Just
get
so he
Avatar.
could get
back
Avatar.
at number
Yep.
one.
That's the kind of
It's just-
shenanigans he pulls.
I mean, it is. It's going to hurt theaters no matter what. I mean, they're going to be hurting, and I mean the entire economy. It's all of it.
What's
'Cause
like truth? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just like, because like I said, things just aren't going to be like one day we're closed, one day we're open, and everything's normal again.
No.
It's
No.
going to be a progress of getting back to
that's-
where we were.
That's the biggest thing about it, especially talking about the theaters is it's already hurting other major businesses, but with the theaters themselves, if they're already taking the private practice of trying to figure out when the best time to make this move is, you're talking about them coming out, opening smaller.
That was in.
That
one
was
of-
in
That was one of the
Trolls,
Trolls.
them?
Trolls
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Okay, it was in the first one. It was in one of them. I just couldn't remember which
But
one.
the thing is, you're already talking about them opening back up with classics playing or releases that have already supposedly come out this year. Like
Yeah.
we could probably see Trolls World Tour in theaters
Please.
come August.
Please don't.
But but the thing is, that alone is not going to be enough to generate the income they
Yeah.
need. I mean, you're talking about a 40% drop just this year, being the lowest year since I think it was 1998. You're talking about the total box office the total for the year, $7 billion.
oh yeah,
That's
Oh, yeah.
nothing. $7 billion is nothing.
It's like even if they release, and here's what they need to do, but even it's not going to be enough. But if they release some of like the biggest movies that ever were released, like in theaters, to get people like, oh, that'd be cool to see in theaters. Like I would go. Like if they put Ben Hur in
I was
theaters,
getting ready to say,
I would-
true movie theater
Yeah.
fans of cinema, like we will
Yeah.
go. We went and saw Ghostbusters
Yes.
when it
Yes.
released. But I mean, think about how many people were in that theater with us.
Not
20 other
many.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not going to be enough
not
for them
gonna
to keep
save
the
them.
lights on
No.
and sustain. There's just no
if they
sustainability
put
there.
like Ben Hur in theaters, I would go to the theater to watch.
Absolutely.
Ben Hur. I would
and
if they
it's gonna
put.
have to be things
if
that
they
they
put,
have
like-
at their disposal.
Yeah, if they
Yeah.
put
They're not
Infinity
gonna pay
War
to put
and
movies.
Endgame back in
Yeah.
there, I would go again and see movies like that.
Yeah.
But again, it's what they
But
have
again,
at
and
their
we're the
disposal.
faithful. We're the faithful viewers that are going to show up.
We're the ones that go to the theater.
We're
two
the
or
ones
three
who
times a
have
week anyway.
subscriptions. Most casual moviegoers don't. And while it may be one place for people to go to when things start opening back up, yeah, they're probably going to be hesitant because they don't want to go to a crowded place. And so I don't know if at the end of the day this is going to be a smart move for the box office. It's not going to obviously catapult it back to being one of the main things people
at
do.
this point, though, they're kind of desperate. They're trying to think of what they can do to just stay afloat. I mean,
Yeah.
AMC's already
AMC's
halfway
talking to bankruptcy lawyers right
Yeah.
now. So
They're already, I mean, almost right out the door. So they have to do what they have to do to survive. And the longer this goes on, it's going to hurt everybody, not just theaters.
Okay, final question: should they open up sooner? Is that going to save them, or is it just futile?
Well,
at
here's
this
the
point?
it's
Does
hard
it
to
matter?
answer. Should they open up sooner when they can't? It's like we
Yeah.
don't even know
Yeah.
if they can open, like when they can open up.
Right.
Hey, we
Yeah.
could get to the
Okay,
end. Of,
I mean,
we could get to the end of
let's just
July
say,
and they
let's
still
just
not
say
be allowed
May.
to open up.
Let's say May. We're middle of May. We're back open. Everything's back open for business. People are able to kind of start opening
some
their doors
business
again.
is better than no business,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
I mean, yeah,
Okay.
as soon as they can open up, I hope they
And
do.
they-
And if
and-
they play some, like if they do play some classics that I'd love to see, I'll go watch them.
Well, they're gonna have to have their marketing people and that kind of stuff come up with something enticing to get people back in theaters. But I
which is
definitely
already going
believe.
to lose them more money. out of the gate.
definitely.
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
will. But it's can we lose a little bit now to save big in the end, or are we just going to shut the doors completely?
Yeah.
And I would rather be someone like, that's Netflix's game. Netflix is, they're losing money every minute that you stream, but they're hoping to recuperate something in the long run. I don't know how. It's like, but how have they been going as many years as they have?
It's because they're popular.
They're popular, and AMC theaters. We're talking about the biggest theater chain in the world, not just in this country.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like,
well, the biggest theater chain in America is probably going to be
yeah,
the
but
biggest in
we
the world,
need
but-
to have something like that. Either that or someone step in and purchase it and be willing to take a hit when they
And
open
that
the
may-
doors.
And that's the thing. So,
We'll
so
hope
are,
for it, but-
this could be just a suggestion based on what they're hearing from other reports, and they may be playing it safe. And it could be that all these theater operators are saying, it could be just like what we said before. It's like they're not going to say anything too soon, but things open back up in May, they may say, okay, well, we're going to start opening, because sure as hell, one of them opens up, the rest of them
Yeah.
are going
Yeah.
to too.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to leave money on the table.
What they're really hoping for is that people have been cooped up so long that even if they have older movies to play, if they pick like some classics that they know people will want to see, they're hoping that people have been cooped up so long they'll still flock to at least get out. It's like, because I know I would love to get out of the house and go to the theater again. I miss going to the theater.
I know to a certain extent people will, but
yeah.
that's because just the thing. Like even the parks and
Yeah.
stuff are closed, and I'm like, can you imagine how crowded Broad Run Park is going to be when
yeah.
they
Open
open that
thing.
up again? Like
Yep.
people are finally able to get outside and hike
and to the opposite of that point, I think that's how. And
But
I
that's
think,
also why things I think haven't opened up yet.
Right.
Sorry,
Well,
I didn't mean to cut you
no,
off.
but I
It's
also
just-
think that's why theaters won't have a lot of traffic, because I truthfully think that what's going to happen is people are going to be skeptical to go back to an indoor closed place.
That's true.
Where you're going to be exposed
The
to
fear
other people.
is there.
And it's going to be
Yeah.
this fear of, and I
And,
honestly
yeah.
do foresee for a long time coming, even not just in theaters, but for the next 2 years, people walking around in these masks.
Oh, I know.
You know,
There's
it's-
gonna
I
be
may
people-
just be naive, but this doesn't scare me. It scares me for my mom and for
Yes.
people that I know that have an immune deficiency or something like that. But I don't wear a mask anywhere that I go. I don't. I go and shake people's hands. I meet people. I have people breathing over my shoulder in the Kroger checkout line.
Well, that
but I
pisses
can't.
me
so
off
that's what I'm
more
just
than
like.
it's like, yeah.
There's no 6 feet.
But
Come on.
that would piss me off even if there wasn't a disease.
Yeah,
I don't want
exactly.
any.
I'm just saying, like, it's not really, I'm not really afraid of it that bad. And
Right.
like I said, I may just be naive, and if I ever did get it, or if someone I know got it,
You would be
it may
upset,
change my
but-
tune. But I'm just saying,
Yes and
it
no.
doesn't
I
really
say, I
bother
don't
me.
want to risk it.
I take it
I don't
seriously.
Want to. I do
like
too,
I say,
yeah.
I don't think you're naive because I take it seriously, and it is a scary thought. But also knowing its mortality rate and how it compares to other diseases, it's one of those things where I think it is a serious matter that people should take seriously. But they also need to take seriously the fact that I'm more scared of if we stay closed too long.
Yeah.
What type of devastation is it going to do?
To me, I'm weighing at this
that
point. I'm
damage
weighing
is worse than
At
getting
this point, the damage
coronavirus.
from the economy being shut down is going to be way worse
Yeah.
than what the virus is doing. So it's one of those.
You're gonna have people homeless.
It's one of those, you're
suicides,
damned if you
depression,
do.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's a lot
That-
worse
I was
than
You're
gonna
the
damned
say-
if
cold.
you do. You're damned if
I'm,
you don't.
I'm weighing the pluses and the minuses.
Yeah.
And while it was inevitable and completely understandable at the very beginning of shutting everything down was a huge positive and a plus. Social distancing has been a key factor. It's going to continue to wane on people's, mindsets and their understanding of what are the best measures to take, because the longer this goes, the harder it's going to be on those people who work day in and day out, the people who are closed down. And not only that, but the social issues of depression and social isolation. I mean, I got to be honest with you. It's not that I haven't been taking it seriously, but my life hasn't changed much because
not drastically.
yeah,
no.
most of the places I go, it's like home, work, and then most of the people I come in contact with are people I already.
And people would say,
have
well, you shouldn't
come
be
in
coming in
contact.
contact
Yeah.
with anybody outside of your house except
Yeah,
for work.
we shouldn't even
Well,
be doing this
yeah.
right now.
Technically, no. But at the same time, we're under the CDC guidelines. We're not 10 people. There's 3 of us. We know where each other's
We're
have
not
been.
6 feet apart.
And we're not
We're
wearing
not-
masks or gloves.
We're not wearing masks.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's one of those things where you're going to have
But see,
this.
okay, and that's the problem. Is it's like it gets to the point of we were even joking about it before we hit record about how many times like now there's a new symptom. And it's like every
Yeah.
day there's something new added to the list. It gets to the point of
Well,
just
because
a
people are
ridiculous
different
state of
and
mind.
they
Yeah.
react differently. So every time
Yeah.
they have a new case, it's like, well, this guy has symptoms completely
and
different.
that's my only thing is as much as I understand why people are expressing concern and to take being cautious, and I do understand that, I really truly do. I'm on the same side saying, but you can't be overly cautious to the point that it's detrimental to other parts of my life and other parts of my health. And it's at the same time, don't sit here and tell me and command me to do certain things when you don't even understand if that's going to truly help.
well, it's like
And I mean, you even brought it up where we've joked around about the different places that we've seen that have gone to certain measures to make sure things are safe. And
that are
yet it's
completely
like-
pointless.
It's pointless. You're not. I'm sorry, but if you're sitting there touching a certain item at work and then you wash it down real quick,
Yeah.
and then you use that same cloth to wash down something else.
Well, people
you've
wearing the
defeated
gloves and
purpose.
touching their phone.
Yeah.
It's like they've got the gloves on, they're touching their phone. Like you're just putting
Yeah.
germs on your
Well,
phone
that's
Yeah,
like
that you're gonna put to your face when you get in the car.
That's like,
Like-
I honestly, since this whole thing started, like I've been cooking a lot, which is good. Like it saves me a lot of money. But I actually went to McDonald's, I think, for the first time since like they've started, and I saw like at the drive-thru where they have the plexiglass.
Yes.
But the top and bottom, there's nothing there because they still have to be able to hand your
Well, of
change in
course.
and out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's the point of that plexiglass?
Yeah.
Like
Nothing.
they're wearing a mask
If they can
already.
breathe air, then
But-
they can get
But it's
coronavirus.
like they're already wearing a mask.
Like, I mean, it's like
I'm
it's-
close enough to them that if they're handing the food out
Oh,
the
yeah.
door, then yeah, I mean, and honestly, it means that if they sneeze,
But
it's
they've
going to go
already
more in
prepared
my
my
food than out
That's
the
what I'm
window.
saying. They've already, I've already entrusted them to prepare my food. Like at this point, like that little piece of plexiglass compared to you actually building
Yeah.
my sandwich is no.
Exactly.
It's like,
and that's where I think people have just kind of gotten. It's like at the end of the day, everybody wants to do their part, and everybody wants to try
and
to
that's
take this seriously.
good, but there's,
But at the same time, everybody gets common sense and thinks, "How in the hell does this work?"
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're all getting to.
it's like I
the
saw
more
one
stir
person
crazy
scratching
we
their
get.
nose
Well, that's-
wearing their glove.
At
It's
the
like,
Dollar General today, like I stopped to get you some toilet paper.
Appreciate that.
And at the Dollar General, they
Much
have
appreciated.
like they have the counter where you lay your items, and they take them and ring them up, and they got a plexiglass thing right there, and you in a little hole that you can put the items through. But then, like less than a foot to the left is the register, and there's nothing blocking me from reaching across and touching the lady's face standing over the register. And I'm just like, what's the point of
It
that
just
when
goes-
I'm standing across from you?
Yeah.
And then she hands me the receipt. No
Yes.
gloves, no mask. She just hands me the receipt.
Yep.
And I'm like, coronavirus. Like,
Yes.
I just got it. Like,
Exactly.
what is the point is just ridiculous.
And
there's only so much you can do, like
There is.
feasibly, and I'm not saying don't do it or that
Yeah.
it's all moot. It's not. It's just it's one
it
of those
just
things
it
where
gets to the point where there is
you have
other
to be
than-
realistic too.
You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we're asking now from our public officials.
Yeah.
And I think that goes at part and parcel. I understand the theater business is wanting to do the same thing with when they open theaters back up. But ultimately what it really does come down to is just it is common sense. And I think everybody's trying to wait for that opportunity to say, okay, you know, we can only wait so much longer.
Yeah.
But ultimately
Life's
it's
gotta
time.
go
at
on.
this
It's
point,
time,
this
yeah.
is the way I've kind of at this
What,
point.
what
It's
are
like
when do the risks outweigh?
the
you
way
know,
I feel
the-
about it right now is it's like we're building a wall to keep one enemy out while there's another enemy at our back stabbing at us with speed. It's like, you know, we're focused solely on COVID and we're not focusing on the future of what could happen. It's like you have to be mindful of everything, and it's like I just don't feel like we're getting that right now.
Agreed.
We're narrow-mindedly looking at one aspect while ignoring the ramifications of it.
True.
So-
All right, guys. I think we're going to talk a little bit
Wow.
more Corona. I guess we're going to get into it now with our relationship segment.
Yeah,
that went on for a
that
little
went a
bit.
Yeah.
little bit, but it's
So
there's just so
you
much.
can just obviously tell that it's something that's eating at us.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, it really is.
everybody
And
at
we're just
the-
3 people. Think about the rest
the
of the
entire
world.
And I think
world.
that's
Yeah.
what we're about to explain in our relationship segment. So let's move on to it.
Let me tell you about the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees and the moon up above and a thing called love.
Oh, don't y'all love that?
Yeah.
Don't- just
I
every
need
week.
somebody tell me about the birds and the bees.
Okay. Right now, you can't
You
have
need
it because
You
you
can't
need to
have it.
have. There's this little plastic
Social-
thing. That you gotta
social
keep-
distancing. You got to remain 6 feet apart.
Yeah, that's tough.
So the bees got to stay over there, and the birds they got to stay over there.
Yeah.
and no birds and
Man.
bees getting together now. Okay.
Gosh.
No
I always
honey
thought. I
being
mean, I
made.
get the analogy of birds and because bees have stingers, but I always thought it was weird because they're 2 different species.
Yeah, I thought,
I'm
well,
like, that. I don't like it.
And man, if you had a
Is it,
giant,
it has to do with
bird
the
bee?
stingers that they have?
The birds and the bees, man. You
I don't know.
What do
I-
the birds have
Birds,
peckers?
birds have sting. Well, but bees have stingers, and they sting things. They're bad. Men are bad. You see, you're not getting the analogy.
I'm not.
you're
I
not
don't-
either.
I don't get it at
understand.
all.
I don't understand either one. I agree. If they were to cross
The birds and the bees come out in spring, and spring is associated with birth and new life.
that
That's
makes
why the
sense.
birds and the
Specifically
bees
the
and the
sex-
flowers
That makes
and the
more
trees.
sense.
Well, they're talking about the song. I'm just talking about like when they give you the birds and the bees. Talk like bees have stingers. I've never had the birds. And
It
the bees
wasn't in
talk,
my
so.
mind until Keith brought it up.
Yeah.
But now I'm just thinking of these
No one
massive
actually sat-
bird bees
no,
flying around.
No one
Bird
really.
bees.
No one actually like sat
Hybrids.
down with me and was like you
The
take
bees have
sting-
sex
yeah.
with the birds.
No one ever
and make
no one,
flowers.
no one had that
That
specific
makes
conversation
no
with me.
sense.
I just don't like the
Well,
analogy.
that's
It's like,
they Harvey Weinstein it.
It just-
you
yeah.
see the birds
Yeah.
come to get
Rape
with
the
the bees, and the birds
The
get
bees rape
trapped
the
in the
birds.
honey.
Oh.
The birds get trapped in the honey, and then the bees just have their way with it.
that
And
was
that's messed
that was
up.
pure Harvey Weinstein.
That's Harvey
That's messed
Weinstein.
up.
Yeah.
So hashtag,
That's a good one.
birds and bees. Time's up.
Anyways,
And you
what
said
is
it with
what,
your Clinton
what is
accent,
our
too. Hashtag
what is our
birds and
relationship
bees.
segment?
Yeah, let's do that.
Our relationship segment.
We're already dragging a little late here.
Yeah, we are. We are. All right. So obviously, with you're right. You know,
COVID.
to keep up with the COVID conversation, I wanted to talk about social distancing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the question,
How's
guys.
it reflecting?
Yeah,
How's
it's
it
affecting
affecting,
us.
not reflecting? How's it affect your relationships? I get
Yeah.
you.
With an E or an A? Effect.
Because it's an effect.
Yeah.
So
Effect.
it's after
It's
the
both.
fact. This
It
is
just
a
depends on
noun
how
to
you use it.
describe.
Yeah, I know.
You know, how has
We
it
had this
affected
conversation
you?
earlier.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's the English language. It's messed up, man.
Which
It's
is which?
messed up.
You know.
Yep.
But yes, how is the social distancing affecting you guys?
I'll be honest, and then everybody's gonna hate me. Not terribly different, and people are like, just because.
It has in one way with me significantly.
Ooh.
Or specifically.
Ooh,
I shouldn't
I
say
wanna know.
significantly.
I mean, I don't. For the most part, I mean, I still kind of see the same people, but we've all worked in like places where like you come in contact with everybody anyways. So
Yeah.
at that point, it was kind of like, well, crap, we can get it anytime anyways. So what difference does it make at this point? Because we're like the people are constantly like everybody in my family works with like in the public basically. So
Yeah.
So yeah, I've kind of done a no-no a little bit in that I've seen family members when you technically shouldn't.
have too.
But
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, I did on Easter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I spent time
I
with
went to my
family.
parents on Easter.
And I took
I know that
precautions.
was
We
a
all
no-no.
took precautions. It's
Did
like
you wear
we've all.
masks?
Yeah.
You wore protection?
No, we didn't.
You sat around eating Easter dinner, having to put the ham underneath their mask.
Yeah.
Get it in there.
I did that my last week of work.
Yeah.
And it's just stupid.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Go, I want to know your specific, your little
No,
specific.
to me, obviously, and I do hope everybody's been, I guess
Playing
doing
it
thi-
safe,
Yeah,
but-
playing it safe and keeping this one thing in
I
particular.
haven't been like I'll take that. I'm going to go see whoever I want. Like I haven't
No.
been doing it.
Everybody I've seen,
yeah.
I've done so with the regard of like, of course, and I know
we took,
one of the things.
I've taken precautions. I mean, we've made sure, like we're here and
Yeah.
we shouldn't be.
But I
Yeah.
didn't even say we shouldn't be. Look, I'm
by
tired.
by other people's standards. not by,
But here's
you
the thing:
know.
I love when people want to talk about, it's like your blood relatives, and it's like we've seen people now on air
Yeah.
on TV who do interviews, and they're quarantining in their own house, sick, where their wife and kids are upstairs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, okay, yeah, you're quarantined in the same house, but it's like I've seen people who I have not come in contact. If I'm going to work and I'm an essential employee, which I have done and I have had to do,
Yeah.
then I have just as much risk from them coming in touch with contact
as
with other
anybody
people
else.
as anybody else. Same with going to the store. And it's like I've taken no more risks with going to the store than I have with seeing the people that I know
But
and
they
love
would
anyway.
tell you need to not take any. You need to only go to work, only go to the store if you have to.
Oh, I know
and-
they
and
will.
every other time. And it's like
And
Yeah.
look, I get that.
I get the
Get
idea,
that. But
yes.
one area in particular that I have definitely, obviously made sure I've kept track of and not done is just simply like handshakes,
Yeah.
hugs, things like that.
we haven't. Yeah, I agree.
And
We
I
don't
I
touch
gotta
each
admit,
other.
I don't
Touch your family.
Yeah, don't touch your family. I've hated that.
Yeah.
It's one thing that it's like I've not done it because it is one extra step you can take.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not about just screw it. I don't
Yeah.
care about this.
No,
and I'm going to do
I
any
agree.
risk at all.
I haven't been giving family members hugs. I mean, I haven't hugged my parents. I mean, I agree with that. That is one thing that has been different. That we've been mindful to not necessarily, like.
And I've been keeping track of any
Yeah.
symptoms I may have, or I know they're all saying, well, but you won't know for a few days. Yeah, well, I've gone 4 weeks now and I haven't had it.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to
You
tell
don't know
you
that. You could have and never even known.
Yeah.
But
And
that's
at this
the thing.
point, it's.
It could have been anything.
It could have been.
Like that itch between your toes.
Well, that's like when
is the
See,
new
that's the
symptom
thing,
of
the symptoms
coronavirus.
are
when,
ridiculous.
when I was sick 2 weeks ago, technically I could have had it.
No,
and not known.
they've already come out and said that most people have probably already had it and
Well,
never
they said,
knew it.
well, everybody is going. Pretty much, it's
It's inevitable.
you're
but
going to
It's
have
going to
it,
be like
Yeah.
the flu.
and you may not get
But you
very
may
sick
never-
off of it at
yeah.
all. You may never even
You
know
may
you
never
have
even
it.
know. Yeah.
Because it's not like everybody thinks we're staying at home that's not how viruses work. It's never going to just go completely away. They're just going to find a vaccine for it, and it'll be like the flu or like
New
anything
strands.
else.
Right.
Corona and COVID have been around for years. It's just this specific strain. Like you look at the back of your Lysol bottle, it says Corona on it because like there's been strains of the coronavirus for years and years. It's just this one strain's just kicking our ass. Basically, I mean,
Well,
I'm
it
just
was
saying.
in
So,
animals, and now it's
yeah.
jumped to humans.
Now
so.
it's jumped to humans. So it's like, I mean, it's not something that's just going to magically disappear because we stay indoors. It's
Right.
just their whole point is they're just trying to not overwhelm
But
hospitals.
your mother, just like mine, have battled cancer, and that's something that
They have
definitely
immune-
takes
yeah.
a toll on your immune system. So it's like, yeah, when I see my mom, it's through the I dropped the kids off at her house,
Yeah.
and I know that they're well, and they wanted to have the kids over to spend the night, and that's probably something that's frowned upon.
Yeah, it
but
would
it's
be,
like
but-
I didn't even like get out of the car to go over and hug her, and that's just simply because like I have allergies, and I have so I
don't
always
take a
have
chance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always have some kind of like a head cold or sinus thing going.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so I don't know when it's just allergies or when it's actually something more serious. So I stayed in the, over by the van and let them run to her, but I didn't go over and give her a hug and things like that. So I can understand, that, but distancing from my wife or my kids, hell no, I'm not giving that
No,
up.
and
Well,
they-
that's okay because you live in the same household.
Yeah.
Which that's where it's like, what
but
doesn't
that's
make
but
sense
that's
or
been
not?
the problem. That's been the issue with all these blurry lines. Is it's like well these are okay, but these aren't, and you got to limit this, but not limit that.
Yeah.
And it's like I've been doing the best I can, but again, I think it goes back to what you said. My lifestyle hasn't changed in the sense that the most social thing I probably did before was go to the movies, and I wouldn't be
Go
going
bowling.
and even every once in a while. Hell yeah.
You know how much you miss that.
That's right. I love bowling. No, but it is interesting because it's kind of odd how it's like for the most part nothing has changed dramatically. And that's not to toot my own horn or say that I'm
Socially now,
I'm
like
socially
financially
inept.
and stuff, like a lot of things. But we've already
Oh,
harped
absolutely.
on that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But I would say that it is just little subtle things that I know have changed that I'm looking forward to getting back into. I mean, obviously, even if the theaters did open up tomorrow and they were allowed to, I probably wouldn't go back immediately. I would be a little bit more cautious. Until I knew there was a vaccine.
I would just buy. I would
buy
buy
a
the
mask.
seats next to me.
Yeah.
and that way nobody can sit beside
Here's
me.
my-
Or they would probably implement that thing that they started
Anyway,
with
yeah.
anyway.
Two-
I'm
two
looking
seats
forward
away,
to
yeah.
being able to do stuff without having to worry about someone trying to report me because, I saw he had like 3 cars over there. People, it's like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
an extent to. I mean,
There's-
it's crazy. It's like you have to worry about someone reporting you because you want to make sure that your mother who has some health issues is doing all right. It's
Yes.
it's like I shouldn't be chastised for and it's like she knows the risks too. Like she could have absolutely, if she had said, I don't want to have Easter over here because my immune system could be at risk, we would have all respected that. But she knows kind of where it stands.
And that's exactly
Yeah.
where I've left it up to you guys. I leave it up to my family. Anybody who is concerned about it, who wants it. It's just like with the masks. I'm fine with somebody wearing them, and I completely understand if people do want to and they want to wear the gloves. Take all the extra steps of precaution you want to, but. And I have no problem with I mean, even with the podcast here, it's like we've done our best, and it's just 3 guys in a room, but we've not had any symptoms. We're not sitting here. We're not,
Sorry.
Actually, I think this is the
Good
first.
help.
This is the first episode since I was sick that I haven't been like hacking because
Yeah.
Now wait,
And
when you
anytime-
say sick, your allergies.
Well, no, I was
let's
legit.
not-
he was sick.
I was legitimately sick.
Yeah.
But not like. I don't know. It's like I said. There's so many symptoms, but I was legitimately sick. But anytime I have like with allergy related, so there's basically 2 times a year. But I'll develop a cough like whenever I get congested. that will stay with me for like a month, and I hate it, and it happens every year.
So you're saying you only get coronavirus twice a year?
Yeah, twice a year.
Yeah.
And this is like, I feel like
but
the
he's
first,
always getting the COVID-18.
but the last 2
not
weeks,
the 19.
yeah, the last 2 weeks I've been very self-conscious of like when I have to cough, because I get like that, like I got a cough up phlegm and I have to turn my head and cough. And this is, I think, the first episode I haven't coughed once, and I love it. But it's one of those things where, like, when you have a cough like that, and you know it's because you had been congested before,
But other people are going
and
to
then
look
you're
at
out
you.
in public
Everybody
and-
looks at
and
you
cough,
like
and they're
you're
like,
a leper
oh,
or
no.
something.
Yeah,
It's like, it's okay. It's a productive cough. They say that doesn't happen with COVID.
No, it's a dry cough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The dry cough is the one you got to worry about.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, and here's the thing: I do worry about it in terms of like Keith. I mean, we had a scare just over a year ago with you and having a heart attack.
It was about
And
almost 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Almost
And
2
so
years.
for me, it's like I know with you in particular, I'm still extra cautious because it's like they do say people with heart conditions,
Yeah.
they do have a tendency
Something's
to be
gonna
more
something's gonna
susceptible.
kill me one day.
Yep.
Might as well be COVID.
See, that's
no, that's not the good way to look at things.
But I just want to stress that it's like, no, not a lot has changed, but there have been, I think it's going to change dramatically for a lot of people.
I'm gonna die one day if I want to go into Walmart and lick all the fruit. I might,
Yeah.
Yeah, be one of those.
I'll get
assholes.
a terrorism charge.
Even when I went
As
to,
you should be.
I told you all that we bought a dog or a puppy, and even when I went to pick up this dog,
definitely
like
getting COVID
the guy that sold the dog to me, like he lived out in the country, and
Yeah.
I paid the guy and I picked the dog up, and it was like we talked for about 30 minutes, and I was like, well, I got to get going, and immediately, just like you said, I went to shake the dude's hand, and even he went to shake mine, and we both stopped halfway, and he was just like, well, my
Yeah,
wife's
probably
worried about.
shouldn't.
He goes, my wife's worried about the COVID, and so I probably better not. She'd kill me. And I was just like, oh, I understand. I actually forgot, but it was just like it's almost like a natural thing because
Yeah.
we're social creatures, and it's just we're not allowed to do that. So it's a huge adjustment. And I think even just something as simple as not being able to shake somebody's hand,
It is.
out of just sheer politeness
And
or,
I know
or
there's,
whatever.
and the funny thing is, I know there's a lot of germaphobes who are like, I'm glad, like finally now it's a social norm to
Yeah.
not shake people's hands,
Yeah.
and they're happy about it.
Well, it
But,
is sad
for-
that you had to wait for a virus to teach people to wash their hands. But
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
Yeah.
But I agree. I mean, it is. We are social creatures, and I remember even back in high school, my more lovey-dovey self, it was like everybody I ran into, I'd give a hug, and it was like just to not be able to hug those you care about.
Yeah.
It is one of those things where it's like I miss that. I do
Yeah.
miss that.
Yeah,
and,
I miss
and
your hugs, Brandon.
I missed
Yeah.
hugging you, man.
Our preacher,
so
he cried.
fluffy.
He cried on his first like internet stream or whatever that we did because
That's gotta be
we
weird
weren't all
preaching.
sitting there.
Yeah.
to preach
You know,
to an
he's
empty-
talking to a
yeah.
camera, and it was, it's every day, 400 or 500 people come out and shake his hand, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that's pretty gross by the end of it.
Yeah, I mean,
But he did cry, and
Yeah.
it's because that's where he gets his fulfillment is seeing
Yeah.
his people, his flock or whatever, and you're not able to do that. It's
Our
that's a huge
preacher,
adjustment for them.
at the very end of he always like during the prayer where he walks from the pulpit to the exit and
Yeah.
stands at the exit, and then as everybody leaves, he shakes people's
Right.
hands as they leave the church.
Yeah.
So I imagine it is kind of a weird thing knowing that you can't have
Well,
that.
and I will
Yeah.
say a lot of
fellowship,
people
so.
were bringing up that this Easter will probably be memorable because of the way it was done, and I agree.
Mm-hmm.
It will be good, I think, to look back on, but it was in the moment it was kind of sad to see all the different services. It was nice to see them all, but it was sad when you see them and they're all empty.
They're
Yeah.
all
And it was just it was
either
one of those
online
things.
or
Yeah.
in their cars, and it's just it is weird.
It's just definitely a
Um,
different feeling.
Yeah.
It's those little things.
It was
that-
weird to have Easter without actually physically going to church.
Being
for
there,
me.
Yeah.
right.
Which-
Oh, yeah.
And I say that because I've missed so many Easters working in the past of our restaurant business.
to
I mean,
finally
they
have a
don't close.
chance.
So like the first Easter I could actually physically be there, I was excited about, and then this happened, and it was like, well, not going to be in church on Easter
Yeah.
this Sunday
Yeah.
either, but at least I can still see it online, and I mean, I still, everything else was similar. I mean, I still, you went to the families. They did an indoor Easter egg hunt for my nieces because it rained that day,
They
which
washed the
was
eggs.
funny. Well, we licked them real good.
Well,
We licked them real good.
That's what you do.
And I mean, I still watch Passion of the Christ like I do every year.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's like I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of stuff was the same, but a
Right.
lot of it was different. and
But
it was just
that
weird.
community, it does.
Yeah.
You fill without,
Yeah.
and it was definitely it will be one of a kind for that.
I will
reason.
say real quickly, it's not all negative. There's a lot of positive things that
Yeah.
I've seen from this, especially with people talking to each other over the internet. And I mean, even in
True.
Bardstown where I live, it's really creepy, but there was guys in the back of a truck dressed up like Easter bunnies going through neighborhoods and waving at the kids. Yeah, oh yeah, it's creepy as hell. My
I don't know
wife
if
got
I
a
would
picture.
trust that.
She got a picture of it on her cell phone. She's like, this
They're
just
doing
happened.
good,
but
you know.
but we had people from our church that did these
I know what you're talking about,
an
the-
egging.
Yeah.
And they run up in our yard and hid
And throw
Easter
eggs at
eggs
your
in the
house?
in the front yard, and then they went and did that to other yards just for the kids
Yeah.
from the church. So we got to have an Easter egg hunt, and it
but
was
they
really
touched
cool.
the eggs,
They
now they
did.
can
See, that's
spread
what
it.
I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Well, but here's the thing. Actually, we did a similar thing in our neighborhood, and I liked it.
Well, a
'cause
lot of people were doing the post the
They were
eggs
posting
in your
it-
window, and then people
Yeah.
could drive by and do like a drive around Easter egg hunt by seeing
Oh.
the eggs in people's windows.
Well,
I
see,
thought that
now
was
here's the
cool.
thing: we were doing it, but people were walking around with like Lysol wipes and like they were spraying them down.
Yeah.
Like while they're. But the thing was, is they had it to where somebody had brought it up on our Facebook like community group
Yeah.
within our neighborhood, and they were like, place eggs out in your neighborhood and in your front lawn, and then we'll have people come by, and there were a lot of people that did it, and it was just like. They just put
cool.
them in plastic eggs, candy in plastic eggs, and
Yep.
all the parents were coming around like with their kids, and you didn't have
Could
to touch
could
anything
you imagine
or
like
touch
Halloween
anybody.
if like if there was a second bout like they're talking about in the fall, like having Halloween where people can't go around door to door because of something like
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Well,
What?
Brad, our friend Brad, he'll die
Yeah.
if Halloween doesn't happen.
It's his favorite
He actually
holiday.
made a post on Facebook about like if it would still happen. He said it's okay because he could still have it. Because I'm sure he just celebrates watching horror movies. And
Yeah, yeah,
He said
true.
he would still have
Hey,
Halloween in his
and
heart.
we'll still
Yeah.
have our Halloween reviews.
He'll have Halloween every year. He said it's in his heart and can't be taken away. So
And that's like a lot of things that, even with social distancing, a lot of those who we love to stay in touch with, just like through Facebook and all these other means, we're finding ways to reattach ourselves to other people.
me and
besides
Jacob
just
have been
being face to face.
delivering things to each other back and forth. Like I took him some ground meat because I found like back when it first started and stuff was hard to find. I was like, oh look, I found this at Aldi's, and he's like, well, if you'll pick me up 2 packs, I'll pay you for it. And then just the other day, he got some stuff from Lowe's for me. So it's like,
Wow.
there's
There
ways
you
to
go.
still.
As long as you're dropping it off
you
on
know.
each other's porch.
Right.
Well, that's not
Just
true.
saying.
That's probably what we should do, but
It's just giving reasons for people to not social distance. All right,
I'm
guys.
calling the police.
I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Red Moon Podcast. Thank you all so much for joining us each week. We're always happy for y'all to tune in. As always, you can tune in every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern on Facebook and YouTube. But you can also check out our Instagram, Red Moon Pics, Twitter, Red Moon Tweet, Facebook, Red Moon Book,
Ooh.
or even, yes, that's right, even old-fashioned as it may be, good old-fashioned email, rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com. Right there it is. At the bottom of your screen, Sean.
Right here.
That's it.
RMPodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
You always go off the end, but you...
What?
you-
What? Well, how small is it?
Well, it's way now over the
I'm
other
way
s-
over here.
I think it's usually like right in here, right?
That's that's
Is
it.
that the
I
that's
got
the
it.
tickle
Yeah.
spot?
RM podcast.
I kinda-
he's tickling it.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. You gotta find
Oh,
the
there it
tickle
is. I
spot.
see it now.
Yeah, now you see it. That's right.
Okay.
rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com. Email us there. But that's going to do it for this week, guys.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
Kind
until...
of a little long one this one, but there was a lot to get
That's
off.
all right.
There
you
was,
know.
that COVID, but people staying in later, it's like, hey, we're
They
just
got
giving
nothing
them,
else to
what the-
watch.
Yeah,
They might as
giving
well
them more
watch us.
entertainment. Exactly.
It's either us or the freaking Tiger King, and
Yeah.
we know who you're gonna pick.
Tiger King.
Tiger King, especially with
I
that.
had my fill of Tiger King. I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad I watched it, but it's one of those
It
things.
just
where
made
it's
me depressed
like,
because
I don't know.
Carol Baskin gets more views than we do.
Carol effing Baskin.
I took away from the whole thing that if you smother something in fish oil, sardine oil,
Yeah.
tigers will eat it.
That's
so.
true. That's true.
All right, guys. So until next time, I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
And
Keith Cheatham.
so until next time, we will
See you here.
see you
Yeah.
here on the Red Moon Podcast.
Quarantine.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.